Today we're talking with Daniel Müller, Research Associate and member of the Active Vision Group at the University of Koblenz, who also leads the Homer team, a team specifically formed for taking part in robotics competitions. And recently the Homer team won first prize in the Robocup Open Challenge. So, first of all, big congratulations on the win. Can you tell us how important a challenge like this is, such as Robocup at home, for students and for robotics?
Thank you at first. Yeah, I think such competitions are really precious for both students and research, because in such a pandemic like right now, working from home can be interrupted by other things and stuff, and to keep track on your work, it's really a good point to have some competition ahead of you, and keep on working on it to have some goal to work towards. And yeah, the competition itself is also a good platform to connect to other researchers in other countries or from other universities. So I think it's really important to keep such competitions alive during a pandemic. And yes, it's mostly positive. So it was stressful, yes, but overall you really yeah, have a lot of success and also in your research and your code you are developing, by the way.
Fantastic, very nice answer. And how do you think competitions such as this one are helpful for students in terms of their developments?
Yeah, you have to differentiate. So normally, if you're physically present in the laboratory, the students see what they are what they have coded and see their code in action, and so that's a special motivational point for them to really put their work into it and get done with it and have some success. Yeah, in the simulation, it's a bit problematic, I guess, because it looks like a video game, and it's a bit far away from your everyday life, and it's like controlling a character. But yeah, at the same time, you can move from moving Thiago in the simulation to the laboratory, and your code you developed in the simulation works exactly like this in the physical world. Maybe not quite exactly like this, but most of it. Yeah, and having the students work in the simulation is also the kind of the same motivation as in real. But I think everybody has to realize that you can transfer your code from simulation to the real world in quite a few steps only.
And we'll come back actually in a minute to talk a bit more about preparing for the competition. But first of all, I wanted just to ask a bit more about the history of the Homer team.
We have quite a history, so we call them Robbie internships, and we have numbers for them. Like every semester, it's that there's one added to it, so it's incremented, and we are currently at Robbie 37. So next year our internship will reach the age of 18 years. And yeah, different generations of students have worked on this project, and we work iteratively on our code base, and different research associates have been team leader. So I'm the successor of Raphael Memesheimer, who was quite successful in the last years. Myself, I have also participated in the Robocup. I think it was 2018 in Nagoya, Japan. So I was there with Raphael, and we have worked together before. And yeah, with each new student generation, there's new work to do, new research available, which can be implemented. And yeah, in our 18-year-long history, you see that managing the code base like this and iteratively adding new features seems to be quite a good way if you have some sort of project management internally that manages to divide the different tasks for different people who have just recently been introduced to robotics, for example.
How did the team find the experience of taking part in the competition? What were the highlights and challenges?
Being able to stay at home and being part of a competition is quite a thing. It can be good, it can be bad. So I think mostly my highlight was that I could sleep a bit longer than the years before, because you don't have to travel to the arena, for example. A bit of a shame is the communication between other teams and seeing what your opponents are doing and how they solve tasks. So yeah, but overall the main Robocup experience was kind of there. So it's hard in these days to stay connected, but you have to use different channels like Telegram or Zoom to keep the contacts up. I think in general you would say that those virtual competitions aren't really the real deal, but every team did their best to manage this, and yeah, looking back, I think this was really great. So it worked out quite well. Yeah.
Okay, great. And actually, just a quick extra question: do you think with once the pandemic comes to an end and things move on a bit, do you think what do you think will happen to competitions? Do you think they'll merge virtual and live, or what do you think will happen there?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, because you have to add some big extra steps to make the simulation even better. For example, to have it run more smoothly on different platforms. So having a really good computer is kind of a constraint for every team right now. But in the physical world, it's the hardware you have. So it's you are limited either way. But I think those virtual factors, like running the simulation, could be some big win in the future. For example, to avoid traveling a lot with a lot of people, having to carry your robots through an airport, or organizing the logistics which have to be done. Yeah, so I really hope that the whole simulation thing will stay here for a while and get better over time, and maybe is added as permanent addition to the whole competition, I guess.
Okay, very interesting. And how did working with Thiago help the team in this challenge?
When the pandemic started, we switched to using the Thiago model, which was provided, and I mentioned it before in some video, in some subtitle, that it kind of worked like out of the box, because we knew the Thiago platform. The installation of the whole simulation setup was straightforward, and it kind of worked out of the box for us as it does on the real Thiago. So this was really nice, and enabled us to start working quickly in the simulation itself. Yeah, there are some tiny flaws which have to be done in the future, but I think with every system you will find those at the beginning. But overall, it was a really nice experience to use Thiago in simulation.
And what's next for the Homer team? What are your future plans?
Right now, for I think in the next 2 weeks, there's a deadline for the IROS Mobile Manipulation Challenge, and we will try to participate in this one as well, because especially in the simulation, we managed to improve our manipulation code. And yeah, it comes in quite naturally to further work on this part, and so the timing for this competition is really good, I think. And yeah, we'll see how far we get until then. So our amount of students is reduced again because every internship ends somewhere. But I think with some still interested students, this can be managed by us. So we'll see what September, or yeah, end of September will bring then.
Fantastic. Okay.
Okay.
Crossed, and thanks very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. It was very pleasant. So thanks again.
Yeah, for me
And
too. Very nice to meet you.